In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Beginning is described to us as an infinite void without shape or form. The greatest impression that we can place upon in this dimension of what that means with the human eye would be with Walter. In the midst of this void stood a presence of maturity in a superior sense. This supreme intellect and maturity uttered words of manifestation from the darkness. The words were, "Let there be light." And there was light. Soon there were other words and other manifestations that have come to pass from that maturity. One of them being earth to separate the waters, and because we share all of the elements of the earth, we too can call ourselves earth. Greetings and welcome to another step in the journey, another brick in the temple. This is the build. I am partnered by my brother, as always, Brother Eli, who will provide opening announcements before we discuss the matter of the evening further. I now present to you Brother Eli.
Blessings, everyone. Blessings. May the peace immersive of love, life, and hard work and study continue to bless you. The words we are expressing freely are not meant to offend anyone. Our words are not meant to be in any competition with anyone else's wisdom. Your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is yours alone. We are choosing to remain consecrated while in the richness of abundance and being in the furnace of affliction. No matter what, we stay on the course, and that is the burning bush. Blessings. Conquering ignorance is not essential. Conquering ignorance is God. Nobody is born wise. A person has to make serious efforts to develop the qualities that is needed to be able to speak and achieve Mayat without falling into the twin traps of vanity and greed. Every day, the ears of the living have to be made to listen to the words of wisdom and the exhibition of action. Every Egyptian sage portray himself or herself with a vigilant heart, a plain tongue, capable of satisfying God, because his and her entire existence rests on knowledge and not on belief. And the manifestation of that knowledge in the real world. In the ancient commanded book of two ways, it says that the causes of wrongdoing are ignorance and immaturity. And I must say this, and not having the ability to manifest the things that the great God of love and life put into your mind, into your heart. Blessings.
Thank you, Brother Eli, for those words of wisdom. Truly, words that can be lived by, words that some have died by. While we have an anti-community of human beings who are now at this very moment deeming a football as their god in the midst of a gladiator like theatric event in an arena close to the same size for the sole purpose of distraction from progress. While that is happening, there are workers doing real work. And while the workers are doing real work, architecture, construction, the drawing and drafting of blueprints that will one day become things that are thousands of times their own size. For the sole purpose of showing advances towards the progression of technology, of intellect, of efficiency. In the midst of all of those workers, some of which will never receive the credit that is due them, even once that manifestation has come to pass and out survive their flesh and bone centuries over, to be placed inside of a book that the ignorant will not read. In the midst of all of that, there are a people who believe in something else, something that makes absolutely no sense by any stretch of science, mathematics, social economics, even psychology. And while these believers are doing their believing, which is the ultimate opposite of all faith and no work, we have yet and still people who are in advent of doing work, who will deem themselves, once the work is done, once the work is even begun, more worthy of favor than those who practice faith alone. This is the primordial battle that people are really talking about. It has nothing to deal with horns or halos. It has nothing to deal with wings of white or red feathers. It is the primordial battle of humanity for humanity's sake alone, and science for sake of advancement, regardless of the cost. Two extremes in a clash that I can tell you is way more spectacular than any football game you could ever watch. The interesting thing is, though there are consolation prizes for both sides, there is never a solid winner of one over the other. Here is the evidence. All science, all invention, all have made technical advances that are equivalent to biblical miracles. We live in a place where eyes can be surgically implanted onto a blind being and they can see. The same world where a book talks of a man who spat in his hand and rubbed against the face of a blind man and told him to wash his face in a certain river, and he too could see. We are talking about algorithms versus allegory. Which one truly reigns supreme? In matters of logistics, it would be the easy answer, the easiest one to say that science will prevail because it has tons of evidence, hundreds of thousands, millions of precepts, of precedents, of patents that have shown certain technological advancements, the likes of which could only be dreamed of by most. But one turned a dream into a blueprint and began to do the work. It would seem as if it would be an easy win, deeming all to bow down to that version of God and become followers in the faith of their blueprint coming to pass through their works, and that being faith plus works equaling progress. Mathematics has made the ideal of precision, of near perfection, palatable. But alas, there is one Achilles heel. What we build causes destruction in time. The envelopes that we push turns into the enveloping of our very empathy and consciousness in humanity. to the point where we question if we even need a God. And I say, in my immaturity, as a babe and not a man, that we inherently need both to battle each other in an iron strengthening iron approach, because one without the other is a faith without a work, or a work without a faith. For even a hypothesis is a belief. It is where it is directed towards the project, which comes from the self. However, this is under certain conditions, certain temperatures, certain cultures that permit such hypotheses to come to pass. What do I mean by that? A child that is brought up in an environment that encourages thought, that encourages experimentation, can bring forth a brilliant mind, void of restriction, which could also be very dangerous. We live in a world now where we have cold fusion, but we also live in the same world that created the atom bomb. And there on the other side of this coin, we have belief, faith, religion, the old arcane technology that is the nouns, verbs, adjectives, suffixes, prefixes, cadences, of which I use today. This old arcane technology that brings forth a sense of charismatic whim to not move necessarily mountains or form pyramids with the voice, but it brings forth a sense of a certain something that cannot be held within the hand, and that is hope. But what of those who have given up on hope? What of those who have deemed the truth in mathematics, the testing in science, the precedences that have made the facts, and not the subjectivity of humankind, as the only voice they will listen to? This is the birth of two stories, both of which, if not careful enough, will see each other as the villain, both of which would see the person looking in their own mirror as the hero. It has been the story of every age, personified in every means, from the Bible to comic books to social media. So then, the question then is, in all of my extemporaneousness, Where do I stand? I stand at a precipice on purpose, a nearly divine and torturous place. Some would say between a rock and a hard place, as a means of sacrificing the self for wanting to become a better human being, more worthy of the rewards that I deem are deserving of anyone that does work. However, the job that I have chose to be in employment of is not of the scientist, but of the philosopher. The question is then asked in a scholarly way, where are your works? And in this vein, I can only speak for myself. There are hundreds of people that I have shared my words with. And out of those hundreds of people, I've had many tell me that I sound nothing like that infant child that could not speak, that sounded like a caveman until age 5, that I am eloquent, and that I had brought forth a certain combination of words that had touched the hearts of those people and led them to change more than just their mind in regards to who they look at in the mirror and the world around them. Some who have actually told me that I had saved them in some way from themselves. Some who deemed by others as brilliant, as doctors, as architects, as engineers, who feel that they have worked tirelessly for a community that cares nothing about their work, whether it be their colleagues, their fellow employees, even their own family. I have only been on this planet in this vein, in this skin suit, for 43 years. I am but a child here. But I am a part of a certain philosophy that says things like Isaiah 11:6, and I paraphrase, that a little child will lead them. Sayings that out of the mouths of babes come forth powerful things. Now, what does that mean without the poetry, Brother Michael? It means that even though I have certain certifications that I've never used, certain philosophies that I always have, I'm still learning on how to be a better human being. but I work amongst machines who dress themselves as men, who have taken emotion out of the equation for such a progress. And in my immaturity, I have seen them as soulless. I have seen the empires that they had created fall based upon their pride. Health centers that are dwindling because the people who are in need of the help see no heart in the man. There are blocks upon blocks of infrastructures that I wish I could call a community, but it is not. However, within those infrastructures, there seems to always be a church. And the more impoverished the community, the more churches exist. I am a person who no longer goes in those churches, for they take the arcane technology and dumb it down even more. They have turned my technology into an android that feeds the equivalent of McDonald's to the community. It kills them slowly. Instead of studying the words themselves, they'll read a couple of Psalms from David, not even knowing who David is. And they will jump and holler and shout as if they are going out of the altar doors and into heaven. And when they get out and they see that there's no heaven there, they'll pretend that they have one to fight for. And yet, these great pretenders have persisted for as long as religion has existed, despite all technological advances that show otherwise of these words. Words that try to shun people from that type of knowledge, thought of as demonic, as evil. Whole communities that won't even turn on light fixtures in their own house. But in all of this, somehow they both survive. So the question finally is, if both sides are constantly fighting for supremacy and no one truly wins the battle, what are we fighting for? Why is it that religion will tell you not to study of these other gods? Because if they truly understood, they would see that most of these other gods are saying the exact same thing. We have more alike than we have different. There are people who will just go on belief alone and will do the equivalent of covering their ears and going la, 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 la against everything else. Why fight the progress? And those who are in progress, why fight faith? Because progress alone leads to destruction. We need each other. Whether we want to believe that or not. But if I have to choose a side, me, not the one that is wearing this white shirt, I'm talking about what is underneath the skin suit, this bone marrow, me. If I were to lose all my limbs and were a vegetable, me, what side would I choose? Even if I lose, I choose faith because my evidence in my life, many times that I should have died and I had no technology, but I had prayer. And no, it did not resuscitate me or defibrillate in the same way. But somehow I'm here talking to you like a person who was never autistic, who never had speech impediment, who was never homeless, who was never at gunpoint, who was never at the end of a rope. And I was all of these things. Was all of these things. And I've seen too many people who would say that's crazy talk. And yet, when the chips are down enough, they'll ask me to pray for them. And so, if this is just one more brick in the build, if this is the last brick that goes on to the foundation, that it turns into being nothing more than a wrestling ring, hear this. This is ironing, sharpening iron every week. Brother Eli made it very clear that no yes men shall be here. And though I love what science has shown this world, what I love about how perfect mathematics can be, and even though it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, I will still pray for people. I will still pick up a Bible and read it when I am in crisis. And for whatever reason, call it a cheat code out of the binary if you must. It helped me make it out. It helped me make it here. And it is not by my own works, truly, that I am here with you today. I thank God. I thank God alone for granting me the ability to do whatever work I can. And if I do no other work, if I were to die today, if I were to go to God today, I would be fallen under That energy's mercy, not to be perfect, but to be good enough.
Blessings. Now, when you're in a circle of the God only exists on evidence alone. Even in the supreme wisdom, they said they searched for that mystery God for trillions of years and did not find it. Therefore, they waste no time. Now, mind you, you talking about people that study and master languages and all that type of stuff. So they do the work, travel the world and all that type of stuff. But let me get to the reality of things. Well, Brother Michael, I just discovered the purpose of life, even though I earned the right to discover the purpose of life. So I don't mind sharing this for free to you. I shared it with the two gentlemen because, again, the fathers passed down information to the sons. But since I have a loving heart, I don't mind to share because I know, just like in a Man in Black, those who are not meant for it, they'll flash the light and people will forget. So I know the purpose of life, Brother Michael. So let's deal with the reality of the purpose. And it will remove almost all things of faith because existence don't have time for that. Faith is only for the ignorant, not for the reality that exists. So the purpose of life only exists because we must overcome challenges. The reason why you exist because you are here to overcome challenges. Case in point, there are approximately 150 million sperm cells. So, Brother Michael, let's come and start as a sperm cell. Let's talk about this purpose that don't have anything to do with faith nor God. That's out the door when it comes to the God. So let's stay in the world of God. A sperm cell, many sperm cells are overcome by the acidity of the vagina, a challenge they must overcome. Prayer, God, books, not relevant. Others are blocked by mucus in the cervix. Prayer, God, faith, not relevant. Whereas the others are attacked by white blood cells that help fight foreign minerals such as bacteria and viruses. That's their introduction. There is no book, no faith, no God, all this fluff that we created from being lazy. So after that child beats those odds, you can be a twin, you can have 8 quadruplets, it doesn't matter. It's not near 150 million. You're dead because you're weak and lazy. You didn't overcome the challenges. So remember, the purpose of all life is to overcome challenges. So now the baby is born. It must pass through the cervix. That means the shoulders are crushed and the head is smushed. It just squeezes out like you got Play-Doh. Pain. As soon as the baby come out, it have to feed on the mother's breasts, which is a challenge. It didn't know anything about feeding on breast inside the womb for 9 months. You must overcome challenge. God, all this fluff is trash. It's for nothings. So when the baby do that, then the baby receive colostrum, the white fluid that activate the immune system. You can't pray it into existence, fast, no hope, no faith. You only die. So after that challenge that was overcome by action, period, nothing else, the baby have to learn how to lift his head with a weak neck. He don't know how to read, don't know how to write, Don't know anything about a imaginary God. Don't know anything about faith. These things don't even exist. But the baby still learn how to lift his head. Then eventually the baby will lift his head without this fictitious God, this weak faith, all this stuff that we have attached ourselves to that God told us we shouldn't do by action. So the baby do that. Then it learns how to crawl. Then it lifts. Then it turns over. No faith, no God, none of this imaginary stuff that don't have anything to do with nothing at all. So that baby turn over. Then the parents applaud. It's like, oh, look at the baby. And the baby turn over and smile. No faith with the smile. None of that stuff is needed. They don't know anything about it. And when the parents are happy of the smile, there's no faith. They pray. There's nothing that kind. None of that stuff. So now the baby learns how to put his hands, because sometimes it'll scratch itself, then you put little gloves on it. So God is always at work. No faith, none of this stuff is even needed. You don't see nobody praying to, they have to do it. Otherwise, it'd be evaluated. They need medication. Another action on something that's not showing action. You must have action. You must overcome challenges. So if people can't do certain things, that is a challenge for the scientists who are grown. So they have to overcome the challenge to assist the baby to overcome its challenge. We exist to overcome challenges. They didn't go to a Bible. They didn't go and get in the corner and pray. They documented the progress and experimented. Because you don't read the Bible says if a baby do not latch on his the mother's milk, this is what should you do. The Bible have nothing to do with that. God don't have time for that silliness. The doctors don't have time to look into some doggone Bible or some reverend to pray when they may have to perform a C-section, which was done by life. Life produced a challenge for us to overcome. Then we created C-sections. There's no Bible, none of this stuff. They looked at Egypt and other ancients, they had knives. None of that stuff was applied. Not relevant. So we can't use nothing that we depend on as grown men in the real world, as babies, as a sperm cell, as our introduction. That's why today you have more humans because of science and not because of prayer and faith. Period. So we here to overcome challenges. And if you don't, so what? You can be born again. And that's why some children at 4 or 5 years old can read and write. They come, boom, already know what they're supposed to do. And we use their knowledge and we document it for future generations. Anyway, back to the real world. Let's remove the childishness from life. So they perform a C-section. Then they use all these things that the Bible do not, nor faith, have anything to do with. So let's say, for instance, the baby's not breathing, or the umbilical cord is around the baby's neck. I don't see the Bible nor faith have anything to do with that, brother. It doesn't. They use a hand because their eyes show that the umbilical cord was around the neck, even though the baby was in fluid. It didn't need to breathe air. So it took a response from human beings that didn't use the Bible nor faith. It took action. And again, COVID destroyed all this faith healing stuff. There's no more for that. COVID, because God produces challenges for us to overcome. Period. That's why we exist, to overcome challenges. Even though if we may not do it now, I guarantee we will do it later. That's the evidence. So now this baby learned how to sit up. But then next, it challenged, said, wait a minute, let me climb up on this bed or something. Let me climb on something. Let me learn how to stand up. It doesn't require a God or faith or this prayer, all this silliness. So let's say that the person may have a speech impediment. I don't see no one doing the faith because, again, the people who had this challenge, they were in a facility that existed hundreds of years before they was even born. And they're around people who are grown way before they were born. So they wasn't off in some vacant island somewhere sitting there with their challenges that God made. The challenges of the child that couldn't speak was for the adults to improve their method to help those who may come in future generations. No Bible, none of this stuff. So if we exist for the main purpose to overcome challenges, because life will present a new challenge as we progress, which we appreciate. It doesn't need faith nor a God. It's just that we don't know at the moment. And it will continue to give us more challenges until we will overcome. Otherwise, we just die. Period. So now I have gave the secret of why we exist is to overcome challenges only. So I'm gonna go into I wrote some notes while the brother was speaking. The people at the Super Bowl. Let's say, for instance, Brother Michael and I are humans too. We want the donuts and the cakes and the rib pies and the partying and the drinking because we're a human. Yet we suffer because we don't want the physical problems. But these people are enjoying themselves when we cannot enjoy ourselves. So since we know the proof of why we exist, it is self-evident that we must separate from those because they must present their challenge with their same efforts of their foolishness. And that's why hospitals are overrun, they're overcrowded, because they were presented with challenges that they refuse to overcome. They want others to overcome. Then that's why the doctors are exhausted. The nurses are exhausted. The medical field are exhausted. Because we exist to overcome challenges, period, nothing else. And that's why those who help those who refuse to overcome their own challenges become exhausted. Because the sperm cell did it by itself and the baby did it by itself. Now, they had two twins that were born, Brother Michael. Brand new babies. One of the twins were dying. The other twin put his hand, brand new babies. The other twin put his hand on the other twin's arm to heal and recoup the other twin. This is science. They didn't know a God. But wasn't all this fluff that we brag about that is false? The love of the twin, brand new babies. You can look it up. The one was dying. But guess what? They recorded it. It was a camera. People documenting because it was a challenge that was presented to show that love, which is a verb, can do miracles as well. Love. They didn't need a prayer. It didn't need a church. It didn't need a reverend. It didn't need none of that stuff. Yet, it was inside a facility that had electricity, that had heat, that had researchers. They was in an environment to incubate these brand new babies. So they can see the miracle of love. I ain't see a Bible, prayer, faith, none of that stuff. So now we go to all things, because the lifespan of a human being who were ignorant was about 45, 30, 40. They live on the same earth that we live on at the moment, but now we can live beyond these things. Why? Not because of prayer, not because of faith, not because of this, not because of that. It's because we overcame the challenges that life or God presented to us. And those who whipple in the corner and prayed died compared to those who did the research and studied and took medication and herbs and all that kind of stuff. They was rewarded, not the ones who prayed and let me go and pray when they didn't have a book to read called Bible. So, if we are here to overcome challenges, every disease that came into existence killed those in the beginning. But then those who didn't use these Bibles and these prayers and this foolish faith stuff, because the beginning scientists that was in churches, they connected herbs and they used the herbs and they experimented on themselves. And that showed them the reward, not their prayer, not their faith, not their book called Bible, but their book to draw the image of what the herb looked like and how much the person should take per day through trial and error, because life presented a challenge and they overcame the challenge without the prayer, without the faith, without all the comforts of that. Because that's all it does is comfort you when you are weak, but it doesn't do nothing else. So, when we look at all these challenges that presented to us, which is a part of life, it was a reward. Let's look at these funny religious folks, these clowns, I'm going to say. Because a clown is a person that refuses to reveal their true face. That's a clown. But a scientist who see a challenge and is willing to go at that challenge, show his true face, you see him crying. You'll see him staying up 3 or 4 hours at night trying to overcome the challenge instead of pretending that they are suffering. Oh, thank God. Like we saw a Catholic priest behind there snorting cocaine, behind the door snorting, because he too much of a coward to say, I am suffering with these challenges and I'm going to do something to overcome them. And you could come along if you want, because there's nothing wrong with people to help me to overcome this challenge for future generations so they don't have to deal with these old challenges, because life going to present new challenges for them without a prayer or faith or some this fictitious God that think that we need, period. So when I was younger, it was a husband and wife. Their child was born with a disease that the scientists did not even know that it exists. So they suffered. They went to doctor to different cities and went to. So guess what the parents did, Brother Michael? They went to the library and started reading, studying day and night. And they created the chemical or the cure of the problem or the challenge that their child had. And now other children don't have to deal with that. And the movie talked about all the challenges. They lost money. They was about to lose their home. All these challenges, they stay focused because they love their child more. Like that twin, they love that child more. So that brand new twin had an arm to touch the other twin, that action. So they overcame that challenge. But guess what, Brother Michael? There were more challenges after that. So there is no room for this prayer or this faith, because the reason why we have this prayer and this faith, because we're children. So let's grow up. And let me tell you what I mean by growing up, since I just discovered the purpose of life. When we have these doubting times, when we want to commit suicide, when all things seem to just crumble, when you don't have the energy to move on, like the scientists, they document it, they write it down, they write it down. But guess what? The planet's still going, the morning's still coming, blood circulating through 60,000 miles of space. It doesn't have anything to do with all this prayer, this God, because these things exist and they live out their purpose without this fictitious stuff. Because, Brother Michael, you're not going to tell me that this twin who was a brand new baby had any kind of God, anything. Because people are always talking about their own personal experiences like it's unique. It is not unique. We are not unique. Right now, you got these people at the Super Bowl while our brothers and sisters went through an earthquake and they're dead at the same time, Brother Michael. So are these football donut chicken eating people praying, reading the Bible, doing these things? Or are the ones under the rubble from an earthquake are using their scriptures for hope and faith? Because existence don't care. Because these people who are in the ground suffocated because of technology that they lived in, the other one's going to say, now let's look at Japan. Japan is on an island, so they made their buildings because of their challenges that can withstand earthquakes like the people in LA. So now the people, they say, okay, wait a minute. Let's go to our brothers who had these challenges before us, who suffered before us. They didn't small in the church and prayed and read Bibles and nothing happens. They say, I cried. They spoke about their pain and possibly could have been in a church, but they cried at home too in the bed. So no matter if you're in a church or not, with a Bible or not, you're still going to experience the tears and the hurt in your chest and your stomach, period. The stomach don't say, oh, you got your Bible with you? You got your faith with you? You got your God with you? It's not even relevant. So they documented their tears, and their tears, for some of them, gave them motivation to create things that resist earthquakes. And then they had children. I don't know if you know this, but I do. They had children in the 80s and 90s win prize money to make ideas, to create little stick figures, buildings that can withstand certain earthquakes. So when they got older, when the earthquake came, which is a natural challenge, they said, okay. You seen videos now, they laughing while their buildings are shaking. Not because of prayer and faith into some this fictitious God, because the ones before them died in the buildings. And the other ones cried with tears but did the work. They accepted the challenge and they overcame the challenge. That's why the other generation laughing. Just like the common cold and viruses. Now we why the others died. Or when a lot of their mothers died because of complications of pregnancy. Oh, wait a minute. You having complications? Come here. Here go your baby. $30,000. Thank you. So and that's why God or existence already created the mother of all creations is suffering. And that's why slaves come up with the best inventions because they suffered. The mother of ideas, all poetry, the best poets, the best songwriters. The words came when they was at their greatest pain, which is natural. So I present evidence other than this fictitious hope and prayer and faith because it doesn't exist. But challenges do exist and they will continue to exist. And we will continue to overcome. Why? Because for some reason, existence itself is going somewhere. And they're using from our minute existence to exist. Let me help you out, Brother Michael, with evidence without this faith and this foolishness that brother was speaking earlier. The human body, the reason why we have vaccines, Brother Michael, is because we present the challenge with ourselves and they learn how to overcome them. And then when we meet them again, they already know about it. They don't pray. They don't do all these fictitious things. Some of them die, others live, but they learn. So when they see it again, they say, oh, we already know this. So let's go ahead and do what we need to do from our observation in our work. They don't pray. They don't fast. And now, if you look at us, we look like cells to a greater force of existence, like white blood cells. So they present bigger challenges. So we have challenges like we challenge with a vaccination our white blood cells. Because white blood cells don't know the human body. They don't know in a computer, but we need them in order for us to talk on these technologies. So they get challenged because they never heard of COVID. They never heard of all these illnesses. There's a lot of illnesses that we have, chicken pox and all this kind of other stuff, right? But guess what? They learn about it and they overcome. And when they overcome, we continue to exist here in our physical world. We exist because everything else exists. I guarantee greater forces don't know our gods. They don't look like when you see the eye, there's a big eye of the universe. When I first saw that big eye, to me, they look like a scientist with a microscope looking through a microscope and the cells looking up at it. And we doing the same thing. To us, it look like a big old eye. Big old huge eye in the universe. So we may be in a petri dish or something in some type of lab that they looking down to see what we're doing. Because one support the other. So that's why cells die when they're incompetent. Sperm cells die when they go and pray. When you see sperm cells go to the side, they don't stay focused, they get eaten up. Just like COVID did. Just like COVID did. And all these faith healers who had thousands of years to be nothing but I'm gonna say snake oil, or they say they selling snake oils. And that's why even the little faith healers in the mountains, everybody suffered when COVID came, because you got to up your game. You got to up it because life is about challenges. And even those faith healers in Japan, they can heal out tumors. The new disease says, nah, we seen that, been there, done that. You're going to die. And that's why Mamoto, all these people, they died in their 70s with their inventions. Now we put love on water and all that concept because now they got new challenges. Challenges is not bad. Challenges is for all life. So that's something that's a part of it. It does not require prayer, and all that kind of stuff, because you will die with your prayer and faith if you don't overcome the challenge. But it would be a generation that will overcome the challenge without the prayer and faith. And that's why in the Black community, you have all these churches, all these obese people. Because I deal with dialysis patients all the time. People don't have kidneys. All over the place. Diabetes all over the place. Like that one scientist, he got diabetes and he got a little patch. He got a little computer that does it all for him. You see what I'm saying? It's nothing but a challenge. It's not a punishment. It's not a curse. It's not something to be emotional about. Well, I couldn't do this because I guarantee your mom didn't have your head in a toilet full of poop and urine. You see? So we all have challenges. But I don't mean be emotional. Oh man, me. Oh my God. They're attacking me with words. I'm being emotional and go all out like a baby. Wow. But after you continue to cry, you stop crying, guess what? You're still in this world. Still here. The sun come out. Say, hey, you done crying? Let's do something. Okay, wait a minute. You cry for a month? You cry for 10 years? I'm here for you still. You done crying? Life will wait 10, 20 years for you. It'll wait you out. You'll be crying. You end up on medication, all that kind of stuff. Then you get tired of crying. Oh, you tired of crying? Oh, you tired of praying? Oh, okay. I'm here. Sun, moon, and stars, galaxies, air, science, book, mathematics, all still here waiting on you. Then you wake up, be a man. Say, okay, oh, I'm done crying like a baby. I'm done praying like a fool. I'm done with the faith. It waited. It said waited. And then now I get to work. And then with the crying and the prayer and the faith was not relevant, it gave you time to live in a world that continued to exist without none of that crap. And then when you spent enough time in that, then the earth says, hey, I'm still here. The problems are still here. It didn't go nowhere. Your brother's been trying. So now you out of your mess, go with your brothers and help them build. Because you're suffering, you probably had dreams to solve your problems, to solve the challenge. Did you listen to those dreams? Did you listen to the notes? The snotty nose from the crying. Did you look at the little note that you wrote when you was crying? Because we was there, meaning the love, like the brand new twin, the verb. But they will wait on you. Okay, I'm gonna kill myself. Oh, you kill yourself. Let's just throw him in the grave. So what? He's dead. You're dead. Now everybody around you, Brother Michael or Brother Elias is dead. He killed himself. What life gonna do? La 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 la. Just like cells in the body. The cells die over and over and over. It got to replenish itself. They don't got you urinate it. Okay. The big great forest, you died, it urinates you out. Bye-bye. Go in the ocean. It continue on. It's not personal because we are here even as sperm cells. I read it again. Even before we become a human, the sperm cell must overcome the acidity of the vagina, which is natural, part of the environment. Other sperm cells are blocked by mucus in the cervix, which is natural, whereas others are attacked by white blood cells that help fight off foreign minerals such as bacteria and viruses. So the thing about it is, and yes, if you choose to die, we heard about reincarnation because time will continue to exist. And that's why we have some evidence of children, Brother Michael, being born. Like, wait a minute, my mother and father in that country. And then they go investigate. They know the people's names. They know the bedroom. They know all that come with the memory. Oh, wait a minute, you come with the memory? Okay, where you leave off at? Continue on. There you go. The earth is still here. Your dream is still. Existence is here because we must exist. So you commit suicide, so be it. You keep living, you're gonna die anyway, so be it. But we still have these challenges that we will overcome. So that's the purpose of life. Now, there's other things that's added to it, which I don't need to share. But the fact of the matter is, as the brother said, steel sharpens steel and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm just telling you the reality. Because again, we are here. Even okay, let's look at Brother Michael's people. Let's look at God. Let's look at this God that he prayed to that think is somebody. This God that Brother Michael prayed to got this thing called Satan. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to go there. Let's talk about this brother's God. Let's read the Bible. God says, look, these children of Israel, they don't listen to me, so I'm going to kill them. So God gets so frustrated, he got this thing called Quran and says, "Look, man, I have completed my favor." You know what I'm saying? Do this stuff or not. It's up to you. So even your God said, "Look, I gotta get out of here because I only look at your works. I don't give a darn about your prayers." And that's why they always say, even when you do charity, it's greater than prayer. So that stuff is outdated, and science and life is proving it. So even God of the scriptures don't even come off with this crap. We don't hear God say, "Well, I prayed and I had faith and I had all this kind of stuff." God says, "Let there be light." God start building and you start praying and all this kind of stuff. Adam, what are you doing, Adam? No, 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 no. Before Adam was made, he said, "I created man in my image after my likeness." And guess what they did? Name all, you have dominion over the plants, the tree. That means they had to have knowledge. Hey, they was with God. Did they need to pray and have faith? Did God require that in the garden? No, I don't remember that. In the Old Testament, did God tell Cain to pray? I'm trying to figure out when all this weak stuff came into existence. When this foolishness came, this faith and prayer crap. Let me see. I'm trying to think, brother. When this foolishness came, let me see. Did Enoch do all this kind of stuff? I'm trying to think. When they lived 1,000 years, did they have all this kind of crap that we dwell in? Or they had challenges too, but they had to do it. Let me see. When the flood came, did Noah had to pray at all? I don't remember that, brother. I don't remember that. I remember God said, "Hey, look, you need to tell them to pray and fast and have faith and hope." He say, "Hey, look, something is coming. You need to start building it now." Okay. I'm trying to think when God met anybody that he told them to pray and do all that. I'm trying to think. Help me out, brother Michael. I've been talking my little half an hour. Help me out. That's where I'm gonna leave off at. I'm not talking about this Jesus. I'm talking about the babies. I'm talking about God. What what God asked us to do that? Help me out, brother Michael. What God asks us to do these things that we depend on now after we all comfortable in all these homes and all this kind of stuff with electricity and all that kind of stuff. When did, let me see. I'm trying to think. In the Old Testament, because when God met Moses on the mountain, God showed him actions. He said, "Look, put your hand in your arm, put your hand in your cloak." I'm about to show you right there. I'm trying to think. Did God tell Moses to tell them to pray and have faith? Or God says, "Go to Pharaoh and do this"? I'm trying to think. Because I'm honest, because remember when we talk, we listen as well. I'm honestly trying to get when we start getting this faith and praying stuff, or we're just, because even Jesus, when a woman touched his robe, she said, "Look, you touched the robe. Your faith did it," but she had to do it. I'm trying to think. Because we are comfortable now, brother Michael. We have grocery stores, you know what I mean? Cars, electricity. We are comfortable. But our forefathers that was in the trenches, when they only lived to be 20, when they had alligators and tigers and bears attacking them, they didn't have all this kind of stuff. But because even the brothers and sisters who's in Africa in the jungle still, they don't have all this Bibles and prayers and stuff. They in nature. But our comfortable folk. Oh yeah, there we go. When the workers already accomplished um 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 flushing toilets and running water and electricity and the comforts of the home and clothes and malls and shoes and hats and medicines and hospitals and phones and all this stuff. Now we created faith and prayer. But when we didn't have none of this stuff, we either died or we solved the challenge. That's what I see. Because I'm just thinking about it now. I'm trying to think. Yeah, matter of fact, because the more comfortable after we overcome the challenges, Then we got all this philosophizing. Then they have time to contemplate. Let me see. The apple fell on my head. Let me contemplate now, since all these other challenges been overcome. Now let me contemplate. Let me get behind this, you know, what is it called? What is the Ivy League? I I can't remember the name of it. That's when we start philosophizing. But you know what, brother Michael, this is one thing that you kind of forgot with this philosophy stuff. So I'm gonna help you out with this. They got a man called Marcus Aurelius who outlived all these verbal philosophers, and it's called Stoicism. And he talks about his private diary, not no faith and not none of this stuff. He talks about the challenges that even emperors have to endure and how to overcome these challenges. This was before these Bibles and all this kind of stuff. So after we overcame the challenges with the tears and the suffering and the loss of life, because it was even babies dying of pneumonia, suffered, cried, pain. Then someone came up with the idea and they went to work. So challenges is a part of our existence for our benefits, and I think for a greater force benefits, just like the cells in our body. They get these bacteria and all this kind of stuff, and if they don't conquer them, we physically die. So we lose our existence if they don't do what they supposed to. So as little particles, because human size, you can't even see the earth, you can't even see us on the earth. So we're like particles. So we just same thing, greater force. So we help the bigger force by overcoming our challenges, and that's why we have challenges. And that's the thing about it. I actually think we are in a teenager. And when you're a teenager, you're silly. So now the teenager eat donuts. So the teenager eat donuts, drink soda, right? So the cells in our body don't know about that. The teenagers at a sporting event or a movie theater eating cotton candy or a fair, but they see the cotton candy and the sugar, so they fight it. While the teenager enjoying himself with his girlfriend, eating the cotton candy, drinking the Pepsi, the cells are like, oh my God, the liver's like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? So they got challenges while the body is enjoying himself. So that's why we may get challenges too, because the greater body that we exist in may be just little teenager with his girlfriend eating some cotton candy and a cosmic. And we got, oh my God, this is COVID. You know what I'm saying? Because the parents didn't allow the baby when it was younger to eat cotton candy. So we had, maybe they, ate like, something. So that was a code for us. So we had to learn how to cure these things. And now as a teenager, he's eating cotton candy, and now we call it COVID. You see what I'm saying? So I think one thing builds and one thing punish. That's what I actually honestly think it is. You know what I'm saying? The cells, okay, let's overcome, or we get sick because we didn't even know that universes die. So the universe could be like a human being. It ages. So our cells live, 7 years, whatever, right? And they replenish, right? So us, we may live 120 years. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's one service after the other. And then eventually we become like the universe, because the total length of a sperm cell is the width of a human hair. So even our little sperm cell, when we sperm cells, be getting challenged by acidity in the vagina, mucus in the cervix, and white blood cells and other stuff. Now we big like a universe. We are trillions of cells when we was one little cell without prayer, Bible, scripture, all this comfort zone stuff. This is for comfort, but it's not for the real world. Like when you go to the arts. The arts were only invented for comfort. And guess who was the original person? It was this jester. The jester, like when you had the warriors. Look, the jester only existed when the king needed to relax a little bit. So he said poetry, or the singer. So bring in the jester and bring in the poets, because as a real person, I had to protect the kingdom, and my soldiers and my men, we need to relax. That's where this philosophy, this verbal stuff came into existence historically. Other than that, they didn't have time for the jesters and the poets, because The jesters and the poets were protected by those who had to die in war, who had to build the castles and the walls to protect them. Then the other ones came into existence after the work was done. So that's what we are here for. We are here for to overcome challenges, great or small. But challenges, yes. Everything else is smoke and mirrors. Nothing, as they say, will save you. God help those who help themselves. The church, the black community are the most praying folks, the most Jesus folks. And now look at our condition compared to those who didn't even have a God. And yet, the emperor of Japan in the Shinto religion, Brother Michael, he was considered the Messiah. He was considered God on earth, but he threw that bull away and said, let's get to science. And look at him now. And if Elijah, Muhammad, and our prophets would have done the same thing, would have said, look, this thing ain't panning out. Because you know what? This is funny, Brother Michael. You ready for this? Elijah, Muhammad now, they didn't have a country to govern. They didn't have as much responsibility as the emperor did. They was in the comforts of America with American military. That's why they maintained this prophet verbal stuff. But they threw all that crap away if they had to do like Japan and go to war and build from scratch and cry and suffer like our brothers and sisters in Turkey right now are doing, while the other ones eating donuts, giggling and laughing, all at the same time. What ironic. Beyonce received $25 million. Oh, our brothers over there dying, they crumbled up. You see how that worked? Instead, if we were really real, we would shut down everything in America, send planes and stuff to Turkey and help them if we were real children of God. This is how blasphemous this is. If we really loved our brothers and sisters, everybody would shut down. We would close down governments. We don't need to go to work. We shut it all down, and I guarantee we can heal them within a couple of weeks if we worked like that twin did to his dying twin. But yet we're so selfish that we sitting here in our homes and laughing and giggling and eating food while they're suffering. And that's why it's crap to me when people talk about this God stuff. No, we are not children of God. We are frauds. Evidence. Even myself sitting here, because guess what, Brother Michael? That just popped in my head just now. Like, wait a minute. If we really children of God, like we claim we are, and the government called America, we could shut this thing down for 2 or 3 days. We're approximately 350 million people. If everybody, every race in America alone, or even all over the world, we really children of God, we say, hold on now, they just had a serious earthquake. Let's help them rebuild. We could all come together, close our home down. We got the daycare centers. We already got groceries. We already got the stuff stored up. We'll take 2 weeks off of our country space to go and fly. We got the airplanes. We got the submarines. We got the war jets. We got airplanes. You know what I'm saying? We got all the technology. We was really children of God, and go help them build, and we can build it. Because remember, China building skyscrapers within weeks times now. Can you imagine 8 billion people going to the aid if we was really children of God? But look at our works. Ha ha ha, let's drink Mary. L.O. say, can you see why they suffering? So, nah, man. If they were a living God, they wouldn't like us. No, they wouldn't like us over here. And we get to see their suffering. People in matter of fact, if you look at Philly, the crack fiends. Oh man, that's what I'm saying. That's like at this point, I can't deal with this God stuff. I don't have no evidence that we love God. I don't it's like If I was a God of humanity and I came and looked, a sister said this, Brother Michael, a Jamaican sister. She said, people will travel from different states to go to your funeral when you're dead, but they won't even walk across the street to see how you're doing when you're alive. So what I look like looking dealing with some God folks that talk this God stuff. That's the facts. They won't even walk across the street to see how you're doing, but they'll travel and take. Remember, they got this grievance day when you're dead. I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. And that's why God created technology so to really show the real children of God who was a fraud and who was not. And listen, all religious folks, all when it comes to God are frauds. All. Because if we were not frauds, we will come together. We will disassemble all governments because there's more people on the earth than governments. And even people in the governments are human. We don't need no governments. Everybody know right from wrong. We don't need a religion. We don't need a God. Because I showed you proof, Brother Michael. You have these weak, silly religious folks thanking God for your Toyota from a country who are atheistic. This is how silly religious folks. I mean, this is silly. So these people are atheists, and these other folks buying and praying to their fake God, which take them to work, which take them to the. I'm just saying, Chinese people make all type of stuff, but they're atheists, medicines and food. So these atheists feed us, give us weaves, give us vehicles, give us computers. That's all I'm saying. Everything that we use, microphone made from China. I'm trying to say that this is funny because all the stuff that's coming down. This is funny. These religious people. These poetic religious folks with all this hope, all this stuff. Because even the clothes that they buy, these atheist people make these. I'm trying to see what's going on here. Made in China. But they're atheists. But we thank Jesus for what atheists make. How that work, Brother Mike, in the real world? Brother Mike, how does that work, brother? How does that work? The stuff that we get from atheists. And then we pray to God. That right there is, I don't know, because insanity is doing something saying, I don't know. I think may create a new word for that. Because the evidence, all this stuff is made and shipped from China. But we thank the Lord for it. And we have Tyler Perry putting his hands on one of the most popular preachers. And he gyrating and shaking. And we had COVID to say, look, where is this Jesus? Where is this faith? Where is it at? And guess what, Brother Michael? Why these COVID creators didn't go to jail? I thought they was atheists too. Okay, so atheists created COVID, but they didn't go to jail. But the world, Mecca shut down, Rome shut down, Jerusalem shut down, but they didn't go to jail. Something about that. The atheists proved who was God. So Jehovah, because remember the Jews, they got the mask. They the first one with the mask. It was still a mask. I remember in New York, it was like they stealing all the masks off the truck. So, but no, now the Jews are realistic. You know what I'm saying? They know who is the living God. They say, look, you gotta protect yourself. My apologies. They do. They don't play with that hocus pocus stuff. And it's funny, the originators of the hocus pocus religion don't have no time for hocus pocus because they have fake messiahs and they kill them. Are you really Messiah? Ooh, we already got the test for messiahs. Let's see if he passed the test. And that's why the Sanhedrin still exists to this day. Because they already had fluffers with beautiful words and snake, what is it called? Snake and oil sellers. Oh, snake and oil sellers. Oh, you coming? Oh, you the new prophet? Okay, prophet. What you gonna tell us? I'm gonna tell you that the Lord is gonna come and get you. Really? Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, okay. He's dead. Oh, what the next? 2000. Oh, here come another one. Oh, wait a minute. Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad. You are a new prophet on this earth? You heard an angel in the cave? And you went to your own? They didn't believe you? Oh, what did you use? You used swords? You didn't use prayer? Wait a minute. Because in the Quran, if you in war, you go to war first and then you go pray. Oh, what? What? You had to physically kill him. You couldn't pray him away, Prophet Muhammad. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, Moses. Moses, you couldn't pray Pharaoh away? Hold on. I'm trying to think. You couldn't have faith or you couldn't use poetic words to remove these people? Black people, you rap and sing. Oh, you need microphones now to project your words. Or matter of fact, Brother Michael, back in the 80s, they got this song called Computer Love. Now most people using that sound to sound good for themselves. So I need to see, when did God require us to pray and to have faith compared to verbalizing the pain of the new challenge and then doing something about it to overcome the challenge. Now, only when we got comfortable because we didn't have time. I'm trying to think, when did we have time to? Only when you comfortable, because even when someone is sick in the hospital, they're in that pain. They pray with the pain, so the pain don't go away. And even the pain doesn't go away with their faith. So only until the body does what it needs to do to get relieve that pain, or the person receive injections, a chemical that numbs the nerves, and then they don't have that pain. But the faith doesn't do it. Or the prayer. So let's look at people who prayed and their life was extended. So somebody prayed and their life was extended. And they walk around telling their story. And then one day they die. So maybe God didn't want them to die at that time. Was it the faith or the prayer? Or it was not their time to die, because eventually they died anyway? So why did their faith and prayer work when they were younger compared to when they were 70, 80, or 90 years old? Why their faith and prayer did not work then? So was it a fair in prayer and faith, or was it, or just not what their time to die? Because I even saw somebody shot their head off. Half their head is there. They still alive. All right, Brother Michael, I don't see the evidence that you present at this particular build to have any worth or merit of anything, because no matter what, when we have prayer and faith, the challenge is still there. It doesn't go away. So I say, for brotherly love, I think prayer and faith, from a brotherly love perspective, is good only in idea. but not in reality. Because, like I said before, just because a person didn't die at the moment doesn't mean they ain't gonna die in the future. So that's evidence that it wasn't the total truth that they. That's why they're still alive. It wasn't their time. It wasn't their time because you had grandmothers that's 80 years old or older lift cars off their granddaughters. So it wasn't that time. It wasn't that time for that granddaughter to die, but that granddaughter got 80 and 90. It still died. So we can call them miracles today, but I guarantee we still, when we continue to study, like in the fifth element, all they had was a hand, and they construct their back with the hand. So yes, we can't do it right now, but we look at the evidence in time, we'll be able to do it. Because these challenges present themselves as love offering and not something, even though we hurt. And that's why they say when you get it off your chest, that's another active mechanism, getting that hurt, having somebody to listen to you who really loves you and care for you while you're going through those challenging times. So I think that even showed more evidence than faith and prayer. Because people go to church and tell God their problems. Huh. Yeah, that just came into my mind just now too, Brother Michael. So there are already evidence mechanisms that helps us. Because even when an apple seed is this big, when you plant it and connect to other parts of the environment, it grows and produces more. So support. And that's why these places exist. Because people, all they need is that extra hand from that healthy twin when the other one is dying right before the other twin. Matter of fact, his eye's not even working at the time being born. So that extra love, either venting to a tree, which listens, is conscious, or an animal. The animal feel our pain. Those things are on it. Matter of fact, Brother Michael, let me share this one with you, brother. They even got cats and dogs that can predict before you have a heart attack or you have a stroke. That's how much love is real. But it took scientists to document it and train them when they recognize animals can do that. So again, the only thing that is truth is not faith, is not prayers, is not all this fluff that was created after the fact. But we can remove a fictitious idea called God if we were true children of God and create spaces of when our brothers and sisters are in need, that they can have a truly support system that remove the need of faith and prayer and all this hocus pocus stuff, because we're so mean and so hateful and so willing to gossip behind a person's back. And that's why we break the mechanism. That's why we need the faith and the prayer, because we are designed for support. But yet, we know if we tell people, they only going to gossip and make rumors and make our situation worse. So we are bad people. So if we're not bad people, we wouldn't even have all this faith and prayer stuff. It wouldn't even be in our vocabulary because we use the mechanism. Uh-oh. Grandma call you, Brother Michael. Hey, how you doing, Brother Mike? I feel something in my stomach. You doing okay? Nah, Grandma, I'm suffering. See, we have mechanism already designed for that. But since human beings are so full of trash, we need this faith because, again, people feel your suffering. They use it to their advantage. They use it. You know what I'm saying? They eat off of you. So now you got to be alone with this fictitious faith and the fictitious God and prayer. That's why it exists. But if we was truly like the twin, then we say, okay, our neighbor, matter of fact, because our dogs feel it, our animals feel it, the plants, they feel it when we come in with this pain. So they know they don't need to, they don't pray. You don't see the dog go in the corner. God. No, they'll come and rub against you. The cat come and do the purr. They don't go. We had this stuff because of human beings are so degenerate. We don't feel comfortable. because you have never seen a baby, a young child, thunder and lightning. Oh God. They go run to mom, run under the seats. Mom, dad, run under the seats. And mom, dad hold them, hear the thunder and stuff. That's when the child still believed in humanity. But you get to a certain age that when you go down, which is natural because it's a challenge, then the faith and prayer to this fictitious things give us support when others are designed to give us support. And that's why they have nuns who've been praying for all of us. They may not be there physically, but God already activated somebody to pray for us. And that's why a lot of these people, Brother Michael, what you already know with evidence, man, I should have died in that car accident. Yeah, grandma been praying for you. Grandma was praying for you. Even before you got 10 years before you got in an accident. They put the oil on you. So that's why in this build, Brother Michael, we have to have these fictitious things called faith and prayer and stuff like that, because we are in a society that refuse to be brothers and sisters. And that's why when people talk the highest title for me, if I can just be a brother, that is good enough, because that will do more for us than being a PhD in anything. Because even look at Nikola Tesla, JP Morgan now were not his brother. They was businessmen. If they would have been his brother like we're supposed to, healed him, didn't charge him that money and all that kind of stuff, just gave him space with other scientists, we'll be well off to this day. And you wouldn't have these pictures of him looking like dry bones in a valley, because we refuse to be what we were designed to be, like that twin was designed to help his other twin while it was dying. So yes, the only purpose of this invention called faith and prayer was God didn't invent, but the suffering of being neglected. That was a challenge. Another thing just popped into my head. We created it because human beings neglected us. Maybe some children were born without parents. It was in a foster home. They felt alone. So we in a society that exists of not being truly human, not being compassion. And that's why the Dalai Lama speak of being compassion, having compassion, excuse me. Because that's all we need. All we need is compassion as a collective, not because someone can do favors for you, just being a human being. And we're avoid of that consistently. People they would be compassionate when they're in need, you know what I mean? But consistently, these things are valid because there we go, Brother Michael. Full circle. I support Brother Michael's fictitious faith and prayer and hope because we refuse to be genuinely children of God who truly love our brother, who truly want for our brother what we want for ourselves. That's why Jesus didn't say, think about it, Brother Michael. Jesus did not say fair prayer, fast, and all this crap. He said the number one thing is love God with all your heart and all your might, and then love your neighbor as yourself. He didn't say faith and prayer, Brother Mike. So I'm showing you my evidence. So if we did that, and that's why little communities like the Jews are important, when you can find brothers who want a common cause. You see what I'm saying? You can find them, say, oh, okay, I'm down, which is natural. It's gonna be challenging. It's natural. Brother down, like what the one brothers do that don't have electricity. They all lift the house. Remember the video? They all got the house, a big 2-ton building, and they move it miles. You know what I'm saying? They move it together. That shows when you're in Mecca, everything shows us that when we work together, we can get the problem solved. Everything shows us, but we refuse to do it collectively. And that's why it's good to find a few who willing to do it. So we don't die with a broken heart. So that's my part, brother. Bro, I want you to come in multiple times and you didn't. Come on, brother. I'm here now. I'm done. I'm done.
To be clear, my God is not the Bible. My God is not Jesus. My God is not Allah. My God is not the Dalai Lama or any derivative of such, whether his head is bald headed or has Bantu knots in its head. My God is love. Love is God. And if that be the only common denominator between the wrestling match that happens throughout all of humanity regarding these subjects, and so be it. I let Brother Eli speak his piece because everything that he said was completely true and factual. Everything that was said can be found in documents that have been recorded. But there is one thing throughout everything that was said that remained true. That the religiosity of faith and tithes and offerings and all of these other things that man had made in order to make a business out of love is indeed false. But love itself is true God. I say this in closing. The entire reason why the build even exists is because I love you. That you can have multiple meanings, can mean one person, can mean the person that is sitting right next to me, could mean anyone that is watching right now. But I love you so much that I am willing to put myself in a place of uncomfortability to present some sort of comfort in a torturous world of selfish people, of dangerously dangerous dichotomies of pain and suffering in the intermittency of absolute pleasure. So intermittent that it looks like an EKG reading of happiness and sadness that spans throughout this entire planet and weaves a thread that can cloak or suffocate us. If you want to know how much someone really loves you, watch how they act when they don't get their way. When the Bills met its genesis in thought as an idea, it was met with wanting to show evidence and evidence alone. However, in my error, build after build, I have shown faith, hope, charity. charity and love being that verb that was spoken of by Brother Eli earlier, which are intertwined to the point where two different versions of the Bible, one will say faith, hope, and charity, the greatest of these is charity, and one saying faith, hope, and love, the greatest of these is love. But all of them say that love is God. So, to be clear, I do not own crosses or rosaries. I see prayer beads as a means of matching whatever you're wearing. This jubba here, this thobe here, which goes all the way down to the shin, just the way the Islamic people walk through Mecca, is nothing more than an extra long sleeved shirt. But the love therein, the wearer of this cloth, that is the God that is being talked about today. The love therein that saw a problem and said that rather than thinking that the easy answer is the true answer, I'm going to stay with the problem. Was it not Einstein, Brother Eli, that said, it is he that stays with the problem long enough that finds the answer? We have stayed with the problem of religiosity for hundreds of thousands of years upon many empires, many decadent flavors of pride met with many different approaches towards the fall. We spoke of empires in the previous bill, that it is imminent that they will fall. I, right now, could take a Bible and burn it right in front of you. It would mean nothing because it is just a bunch of paper with India ink, and it was probably made in China. But there are certain things written in there that speaks to something that cannot truly be explained in my immaturity. And I find love there as a tool, not as the origin, as a tool. That child that grabbed the arm of his twin child, that was not a prayer. That was not fasting. That was not tithing. That was not offering. That was love, and love alone. And that love alone was God. I am not unique, and that is the entire point. The commonality is uncanny. My story is like a lot of people in many different ways. My purpose here is not to be unique. My purpose is to look like I am everyone else. My purpose is not to be lifted up. My purpose is to walk beside as many people as possible. That's the reason why being called a brother is the highest title, because I dare you call me reverend or preacher or any of this mess. It means nothing. But to call me brother, it takes love to do that. I work for a doctor who would not ever call me brother. I have been in many places where I've been called bro or bruh, but never been called brother. I seek a brotherhood in this build, and I have a brother here. And because we are together here, no matter how tough the love may be, there is love there. And that means God is present. The definition of God has been amalgamated to inferiority and profane order. And I do not wish for that definition of God, the one that you can send a Christmas list to, the one that you can be blessed for these certain material things of which you have not worked for, the one that you will pray upon and say, this ham sandwich came from the Most High. You will not ever hear me say that. But what you will hear, in whatever tone of voice I choose to use, is I love you. I am thankful for the facts, for the knowledge, for the wisdom of time that has passed through the bone marrow and blood of a human being who has been in so many different places that I have not. With proof that all of this regalia, this costume, in comparison to science. But know that my God is not the God of those people who go to churches every Sunday after eating whatever they need to get over the hangover from Saturday night. My God is love. And even though love and mania have somewhat the same definition, love has 74 definitions. 74 definitions, 74 flavors, layers to it. So it's too complex for a lot of people to understand. So they can pick and choose which one of the 74 to see when I tell people that I love them. But when someone says they love me, when someone smiles in my direction, when someone has the audacity to cross the street to ask how I'm doing, I see love in that. And God is love. I'm pretty certain that around 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there will be riots in the streets for some football team that scored one field goal further than another. And I will hear of catastrophes that came with it. And I know that at the same moment while all of this is happening, just like Jesus on that ship when everything was torrentious, I will be sound asleep. I understand the selfishness in that. And if that be my only proof of sin, then let that be. I know that I will always miss the mark of having a perfect love and being able to show a perfect love to people. Hell, I don't even love myself perfectly. I hold myself accountable to that. But just know that I am wherever I am, whether I am close to you or thousands of miles away, whoever is watching this right now, who may not have heard my voice in years, or who's just hearing my voice for the first time tonight and does not even know my name, because all you see on the screen is Tr1 and Brother Michael that is spoken through Brother Eli. But I assure you, before it has been proven that I should love you less, for the Hebrew language does not even have a word for hate. It's love and love less. And there's always love. Kazakh means to struggle. And I struggle with love, the concept of it, as many people have. And some people will reach a bottle of water, and some people will reach the bottom of a bottle of liquor. But I'm going to tell you right now, all they need is to dig deep enough and find their way out of the holes that they put themselves in. And the only way they can do that is to first say, I love myself enough to not stay where I am. And that voice that they hear, that voice of love that comes from themselves, that even sounds to some people like their own voice, that's God to me. And that's love. Any and all of us can die right now by just saying, I'm going to stop breathing. Lie. Because there's a part of you that will fight. Do you know how hard it is to die by your own choice? Because at the atomic level, there's a certain energy. There's a certain sequence of energy, of protons, of electrons that are moving synergistically with each other to prolong life. It's a connection. It is a positive and negative charge. It's an attraction. We call it all of these things. Magnetism, attraction, thermal electromagnetic beams. We deal with temperature. We deal with heat and cold. We deal with warm and cold people. I deal in love. I'm trying to learn business, and I deal in love. And if that means that I'll be a babe my entire life, may I be ever so grateful to be held in the arms of a great mother and to rest on the shoulders of giants that have done greater things than I'll ever do. Not because I don't have the capacity, but because I'm too damn weak to put in that much work. May that grace be a different tool used for love for me. We live in uncomfortable times. Even the idea of some people believing that they are in the midst of comfortability actually causes uncomfortability to the body, to their very organs. Yet they deem it that not. That donut, that coffee, that soda, that vape pen. These things that are harmful, they will say, I enjoy it. This is my pleasure. See, some burning bushes don't turn to ash. Some of them crumble before the arsonist's hand. And I know arsonists of themselves and other people. And even still, I love them too. "74 definitions. Here's the work. Not that Brother Eli has to do any of this, but to those who are watching, I need you to find every one of those 74 definitions. Write them down as if they are coming from your own mind. And then go through every human being that has ever graced your presence in your life and see, how do you love them? I'm going to do that thing. And next week, I will bring my results of how I love everyone. Well, Brother Michael, how can you love a murderer? How can you love a rapist? How can you love a person who maims? How can you love an adulterous woman? How can you love those who say they hate you? Because my eyes don't work. I don't see Brother Eli here. I don't see the patients that come to the office. I don't see the doctor that I work for. I don't see that. I just see a different version of love, even if that love is so selfish that they love only themselves and nothing else. And certain definitions of love works for me, and certain ones don't. But it's all love. And I wish for the life of me that I can do enough work to one day deem this not as personal as it is to me. But by God, I haven't found that answer yet. Maybe I have not gone through enough pain to numb myself from it. Maybe I haven't been stricken enough in my life to consider you as cannon fodder for new Hiroshimas to decimate at my hand that I deem God, which is of hate and not love. Maybe that's what sin is for me. Coming up short. Maybe even coming up by a long shot, but damn it, I have some grace around me. I pray not as a predator, but as one who sees the love in all people, despite the fact that there's so much hate in the world. And I know it doesn't make any damn sense, but I can't say that I can't help it, but I can't say that I won't. I have given myself no choice but to love even my enemy. To love them less, but love my brothers more. If there's any success that comes from that type of love, I can't give the credit to myself. I won't. And for all the failures, I'll take them as my own. But I'll do that without complaining, because the candle cannot complain against the darkness and the harshness. It instead emits itself and then admits to itself that it is everything that it ever needed. It is the light. And we are that light. I will not blow this candle away from me. Instead, I'll take it in so that I can pass that warmth and comfort in a cold world to the next handshake, the hug, and any and everything that I could offer, the closest version of the tools of love and God that I can give. And so I take it in. And I show beyond a shadow of a doubt that I am not harmed. Peace, blessings, faith, hope, work, progress, and love to all.
And my final word, Brother Michael, like they do the Torah, 74, 7 plus 4 equals 11. 1 plus 1 equals 2. So love is 2. Also, our saying, I don't know if it's the right way. Yes. Is it the right way, Brother Michael?
It isn't, but that's okay. Oh, no, yes, it is. It actually is. It is correct.
As we see, the earth, it goes clockwise, and we write the earth clockwise as heart. Right. And after heart, you have here. And after here, you have ear. You see? And then art.
That's right. That's right.
So love, out of all those 74 definitions, means 2. Blessings.
Blessings.